Hello guys, welcome back to another video this week. I'm glad you guys are back for a brand new recipe. This week we're going to be making some delicious milanesas. I'm going to be using beef to make this recipe, but you can also use chicken or pork. I follow this family on YouTube. They are called It's Judy's Life. Her husband Benji cooks Tonkatsu. I believe it's how you say it. It's basically the same thing in the Japanese culture, where they deep fried pork and then they bread it with breadcrumbs or panko. I'm going to be showing you guys my version of the Mexican recipe for beef milanesas. I just wanted to say that one dish that could be made in your country could be the same thing in a different country, be made slightly different and have a different name. But before we get started with this recipe, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up if you liked it, share with your friends if you loved it. Subscribe to our channel so you can be part of our family. Remember, we upload videos every single week, and every single week it's going to be a different Mexican recipe. So I highly suggest you subscribe to our channel. So let's get started with the recipe. So for our ingredients today, it's going to be beef milanesas, but you can also use chicken or pork meat, breadcrumbs, or you can also use panko, onion and garlic, half a cup of milk, and 4 eggs. We're going to start off the recipe by chopping our onions and our garlic very finely. I'm only going to be using just a little piece of onion and 2 garlic cloves. You can also use onion and garlic powder. I just like to make it fresh, that way it has a more concentrated taste to it. I'm going to be chopping it very finely just because I am going to be adding it to the mixture, and I do want some pieces of onion and garlic to get stuck to the meat when I deep fry it, to give it a little extra flavor on the meat. So make sure you do chop it very finely. You don't want a whole piece of garlic or onion on your milanesa unless you're up to that. It's totally up to you however big or small you want to cut it. Once we have it ready, we're going to incorporate it into our bowl, and we're going to continue by cracking our eggs. I'm going to be using 4 eggs. I dropped some eggshells on here, so I make sure to remove them as well. And we're going to be adding the half a cup of milk, a little bit of chicken flavor bouillon, or you can use beef bouillon, and just a couple shakes of black pepper. We're going to mix this very good until everything has incorporated together, because this is going to be the base where we're going to be marinating our beef. Now that we have our mixture ready, I'm going to be adding my beef milanesas in here. Make sure that when you're buying your beef, you ask for beef milanesas if you're going to the meat store. If you're buying it off of like Walmart, H-E-B, Target, anything like that, I have seen that some stores do sell beef milanesas. Other stores just sell it as beef steak. If you're using the beef steak, just make sure that your beef is very thin. The thicker your meat, the longer it's going to take to cook. Now that I have all of our milanesas inside the bowl, I'm going to be getting some tongs, and I'm going to submerge all of our beef and move it around just so the mixture can get all over our milanesas. And we're going to let this sit here for about an hour. The longer you keep it in there, the more concentrated it's going to be. But roughly about an hour should be good. Once you're ready to start cooking your meat, you're going to grab some breadcrumbs and put it into a plate. Same thing with the help of some tongs. You're going to be grabbing your beef milanesa and you're going to be putting it on the breadcrumbs and covering the whole beef with the breadcrumbs. You can use your tongs or you can use a glove in your hands, whichever works better for you guys. You can use that. I use mostly the tongs. As you can see, some of the onion and garlic is sticking to the beef, and I'm not gonna be shaking it off of the meat. I want the milanesas to be covered in the onion and the garlic. Like I said earlier, that's gonna give it an extra flavor for the meat. And we're gonna continue this process until all of our milanesas are fully covered in the breadcrumbs. I do wanna mention that I use the Mexican breadcrumbs. You can find it at any Mexican store. I believe some Walmarts also have it. I'm gonna leave a picture here of what the breadcrumbs that I use look like. But you can also use the Italian breadcrumbs, or if you wanna go a little bit fancier and have a little more crunch to your milanesas, you can also use panko. Now that all of my milanesas are fully covered in the breadcrumbs, I'm going to be starting the oil. On a big skillet, I'm going to be adding lots of vegetable oil, and I'm going to let that heat up for a couple minutes. You want to make sure that your oil is very hot when you're putting your milanesas inside the skillet to fry. A little trick is to adding a little bit of breadcrumbs into your oil, and if it starts to sizzle, that means your oil is hot enough to be adding your milanesas onto it. When I added the little breadcrumbs into my oil, it did start to sizzle, so I'm going to be adding my beef milanesas now. I'm going to be adding 4 at a time because that's how big my skillet is, and it can handle 4 milanesas. But my milanesas were very small. Some milanesas are very big that you might want to cut in half. So 4 milanesas on my skillet, and I'm going to be letting this fry for about 3 minutes on each side. Remember guys that I do have an electric stove, so the heat only concentrates in the middle of the stove, and my skillet is bigger than the burner. So I'm going to be rotating my milanesas on each side so they can be all cooked evenly on the center where all the heat is concentrated, and it won't be burned from one side and slightly not cooked on the other side. And once those 3 minutes have passed, I'm going to be turning them to the other side so they can continue the cooking process on the opposite side. Same thing on this side, I'm gonna be rotating them so all 4 slices can get a chance to be on the middle where all the heat is concentrated. After those 3 minutes, as you can see, all my milanesas are now fully cooked from both sides. You can leave them in the oil a little bit longer if you want your milanesas to be a little crunchy, but I'm going to be removing them at this time. On a different plate, I make sure to have a couple layers of napkins layered on top of the plate so I can put my milanesas on top and the oil can be absorbed by the napkins. I still have a couple more milanesas that I need to make, so I'm going to continue the cooking process and we'll see you in the next slide. This is how my milanesas looked at the end. As you can see, I did put several layers of napkin underneath to absorb all the oil, and we're going to make sure that their milanesas are fully cooked. We're going to slide one milanesa so you can see the inside of it, and as you can see, it's fully cooked. There's no red on the milanesas and the meat is not too dry. You can also see that my milanesa is a little bit thicker than the normal milanesa. Usually I would want it about half of that thickness, but this would work as fine. And this was the end result for our milanesas. As you can see, they're very crunchy, and you can pair this with the delicious green spaghetti, which I made a recipe on the previous video. I normally eat this with the green spaghetti or a red spaghetti with a little side of salsa, and it's something that you kids can also eat as well. This is kind of like chicken nuggets in my opinion. My little brothers eat it really well. And this was the end result for our video. I hope you guys liked it. Leave me a comment down below with any other recipes or suggestions you have. Subscribe to our channel so you can be part of our family. Remember, we upload videos every single week. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Share with your friends if you loved it. And we'll see you guys next week with a brand new recipe. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye!